guest today is a Wells engineer, a pastor, a teacher, a therapist, a life coach, and an all-round businessman. Hello, Mr. Akin. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Great to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
All right, so I did quite an intro right there. So can you just give us a background to how you got into all of these things?
Good word now. Well, I'm an engineer. You could call that hereditary because my father is one. But the truth is, I'm not an engineer because my father is, not by choice. I wanted to at one time want to be a doctor, but I had about 24/7 on call. That wasn't cut out for me. I love life too much. I wanted to be a pilot at some point in time. It wasn't the straight court going to school out here. So I had engineers make money, and I wanted to make money. That's all I wanted to do. So I'm like my last daughter. I want to make money. So that's how I got into engineering. I wanted to make money. I still want to make money.
Okay. Let's leave that. Okay.
Well, I got to do all the other things like you said, but those ones also are what you might call an incident of life, So, in one sense, I've always been a spiritual person. There's always been someone who was sensitive to the spirit, to spiritual things, and as I got into that back in 1983, I guess. I got more confusion than enlightenment, and that caused a lot of trouble in my life, including missing 1 year of school in 84 to 85. So in 85, I made a commitment and said, hey, I'm going to help other people not to go through the same rough road I went through. So my life today is a result of the commitment I made to God back in 1985. I love breaking things down. I love taking away complexity. I love making things as simple as possible. Like Albert Einstein would say, if you can't explain something to a child that you don't know it, my job, my life focus is to be able to explain things to a child such that people can live life the way it was meant to.
That is really, really amazing. Really. I'd like to focus on the life coach aspect. I want to say the teacher aspect. Let's just measure. How long have you been a life coach?
Well, being a life coach, would I say that's probably as long as 1985 because I get a cancer of people just as a part of life. I had someone I had a crush on back in 1985, right? And that lasted for 11 years, So all part of that was trying to help her also. And one time she told me, she said, I can't cancel her because I never had any issues or struggles in my life. That's because I don't share my trouble because she has her troubles I'm trying to help her with, and later on I told her that's probably the most stupid statement anyone ever made to me because we're all human. We all have our issues, we have troubles. Because I'm always smiling doesn't mean that I don't have issues. Because I'm a life coach, I'm a counselor, doesn't mean that I'm not human. I have my own issues. It's just that it's a chosen part for me, So did I miss the question? I think I've gone off the question. What's the question?
I think you're very much on track. I asked how long you've been doing it and how you're telling me how you got into it.
Absolutely. So it's been part of my life. Obviously, there were different occasions in my life that attenuated it, probably took it to different levels of its own because I'm all that I am because of all that I've been through. Right? So I do what I do not because I read it in a book or someone told me. I do what I do because I'm human myself. I've been through life. I've been pained by life. So what I do is to help people not to go through the same thing I've been through, and to help people that are in the same thing I've been through to come out of it. So it's a dual focus, helping people not to get that and helping people who are in need to come out of it. It's all about living life the way God ordained it to be because it's possible. As a result of life, I've found out, I am finding out also because I'm also growing. So everything I share with everyone, I'm the first beneficiary of everything I say to everyone, right? Because I'm also listening to myself.
Yeah.
So when I tell someone, I'm also telling myself, right? And that's also helped me because it's not just what I say, so I have to live it, right? I have to live it. And that's one of the advantages and maybe also challenge of being on social media. Because on social media, I'm connected to people I grew up with.
Okay.
So when I share my life, if I'm lying, there are people who were with me when I was living that part of my
Yeah,
life.
people there to like vet if what you're saying is
Absolutely.
true or not.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I have, on social media, I have my childhood people who lived, my neighbors. I have people that I went to elementary school with, I have people I went to secondary school with, I have people I went to university with, I have people who are in my workplace right now. I have people that are in my former workplace. So, it's a place I don't have a choice but to be authentic, right? Because there are people that can either vouch for or easily tell if I'm lying, so it's not a matter of wanting to be authentic. It's a matter of I don't even have a choice but to be authentic, so it's both, and it helps me. Every day I live what I teach, and what I live I get to teach, so it's like the compass, right? The north-seeking compass. I'm always trying to just go to the north, because I'm also human. I go through the same pain, that everyone goes through, that I'm learning and I'm sharing. I don't know if that helps.
Yes, that definitely does. So I want to zero in on, what you said, your basically what you echoed your love interest said. We see that when people are put on pedestals, we forget that they are human. We view them as less than human. We just tend to focus on their achievements and what they have going on. And you refuted that. You did say that you had your own experiences and struggles, even though you don't share them. But now I think I'd like us to just dissect that. What has been your experience? Like there be any crisis that led into depression, whatever?
I guess just to also explain something. When I say I don't share, I mean I don't make it a burden to someone else. But I'm an open book. Everything I've been through is somewhere on social media. Anyone that doesn't know my life is because you're on social media, right? Everything about my life is an open book, right? And when I teach people also, I don't run away from any question. Everyone that's ever been under my tutelage knows that I don't run away from a question. I leave my life to be an open book, right? So there's nothing about my life that is hidden per se, because it's a burden or a cross I have decided to carry, that my life is part of my tutelage, my teaching, my ministry, my calling, right? So when it comes to depression or crisis, I probably had 3 of them. I typically say 2, but it's really 3, right? Because the time between 83 to 85 was the first one, was the truly first one. But then I've also had 2 other 2-year incidents, and coincidentally they were 10 years apart. I was in depression between 2008 to 2010, and I was in depression here from 2018 to 2020, right? I don't know how God did it, but it's having 10 years apart, and each 2 years, right? Making a total of 6 years, right? If you're gonna put a 1983 to bring that into place, So 1983, I've said a bit about, 2008, was a crisis where I had built a house in my perfectionism that did not measure to what I wanted. right? Some things were not, did not come out the way I wanted it, and that just was a accumulation of every other thing I've been through, and it was just like, wow, there's something wrong with my life,
Wow.
so it all started by me talking negatively to myself, right? So I was like, there's something wrong with my life, and this house didn't go the way I wanted it, whereas I built it with my blood, meaning I designed it, I did every single thing about it, and it didn't come out the way I wanted it. And I was so sad about it that I sold it. After I sold it, I then went to work for 2 years. Yeah, but then it was, but that alone does not take you to depression, right? Life itself does not take you to depression. It's your response to life that takes you to this depression. Life happens to everybody, but not everybody gets depressed. It's the way you respond to it. My response to it and my interpretation of it was what got me into depression. Because then I interpreted it as there was something wrong with my life. I interpreted it that I was under a curse. I interpreted it that someone must have done jazz on me to make me do this. And at that time I was 25 years, 2008 was 25 years after 1983. So it was like, I've been being worked the spiritual faith part for 25 years. How am I going to explain this happened to me, So it was me talking down to myself. I did that so much that I went into depression. Now you won't understand if you never get into depression what that means. What it means was, I do tell people, and I've written it out, that depression is a choice. It's a choice you make. When I started being sad and beginning to talk to myself, I had a choice. I could have stopped at any point in time. But I did not stop. Being sad, there's a point, it's a transition point where you're no more in control, where depression holds you captive. At that point, you're a lawful captive. Right? So I got to that point, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stay alone in one place. Everything around me was dark. My whole world went upside down. So that was that for then. And unfortunately, 2008, I did get a job outside the country. So I did move on to California to work. So I was in California throughout depression from 2008 to 2010, right? So I was out in California. So that probably either didn't help or whatever, but it was being away from home, living away from home. I got to California as probably one of the best employees out there. I had stories about people telling me, oh, there's this guy that's intelligent working here, that. But in the midst of depression, I was useless. I was useless to myself, useless to everybody, And so I guess the question probably lead to, from here, so how did I come out of that? Good question. For as long as I was looking for a savior, someone to help me, I was wishing that someone could come and pick me up out of that. I was all the time in it. I got out of it when I decided if I was going to come out of it, it was going to take me to do it. Yeah, so when I realized that, a lot of people were trying to help me, right? My pastor from Lagos would call, pray with me. Pastor friend in Bakersfield, California will come visit my house severally. Everything every other person did to help me did not work until the day I decided I needed to help myself. That was when I came out. And I wrote an article on this. I have a series called The Power in You. It's out there. And on my blog on Facebook, how I came out of this, So for the sake of that, I'm going to jump to 2018.
Okay.
So 2018 here, I was also back in depression. After everything in 2008, 2010, I thought I defeated depression. And I was a superstar, Never go to depression again in my whole life, The 2018, 2016, I got back. I had another job stint in Houston, so I got back 2016. I got back to a volatile, how do you call it now? There's a word for it. It wasn't a friendly environment at work. You had people who wanted to, as it were, clip your wings. So that was the environment I came to. There were people that felt they had to hold you down, they had to put you, control you, keep you in a small box. So the process of all of that, going up to 2018, we had a visa problem in my family. So with everything that happened from 2016 to 2018, when we had a visa issue, my whole world went blank. I was like, how did this happen to me? I'm not sure, we won't have time for me to go through all the details, but I went to that same old place again where I began to talk negative to myself, right? I began to say, how did this happen? And you still go through the same process, going from sadness to depression.
Yeah.
You talk yourself down so much that you get to that transition point and you walk into a place where you're captive. In depression, you couldn't sleep, you couldn't really just rise up and be happy. And here was I was blessing other people. People were getting delivered, blessed, but I couldn't use it for myself because I was in a place where I was expecting someone to come and pick me up, and help me. I get to that place where you don't want to help yourself. You're like a baby, a spoiled child, who can walk by saying you want someone to pick you up, And for as long as I did that, which lasted 2 years to my shame, and nothing happened. Several people tried to help, pray with you, do this, but only me could get myself out of it, And when I decided I had enough of it, I was the one that picked myself up, and came out of it, So that's how I came out. I had to fight my way out in 2020, and that's how I got here. Yeah, right. I still have a lot of things going on in my life that could easily have taken me back to depression, but the strength I've built, right, coming from these 2 incidents or 3 incidents now, it's why, irrespective of what's going on, I finally found the secret to be where I am and not to be defeated by it. So there won't be a fourth occurrence. I can show you that.
Okay. So that we have it clear.
Yes.
What are the secrets that you found?
Well, from all my experience, number one is the fact that no other person but you can do you. Why? For as long as you're in that place where you're wishing, wishing is an easy key to depression. Wishing doesn't get you anywhere. The universe does not work by wishing. I wish. That's a cracked record. There's no wishing. You do it. You decide what you want to do and you do it. Wishing is the key to depression. Right. Sitting down like a spoiled child and expecting someone that's going to pick you up is a key to depression. You got to do everything that you can do where you are. You cannot do everything, but you got to do what you can do where you are. Right? Nobody's useless. Everybody can do something. What you do with what you can do where you are is the way to get yourself away from depression. As long as you're waiting for someone to come pick you up, you'll be there forever. And you'll be on that slippery slope towards depression. Right? So, and we said something earlier on before the production, we're talking about idleness. Idleness on itself will not get you into depression, but idleness can get you into depression, because idleness it's you not exercising your mind. Idleness is a place where you're not building your mental muscles, right? And all about depression is you coming against the resistance that your mental muscle is not able to handle. So it's all about your mental muscle at each point in time. It's if you come against something your mental muscle is not prepared for or able to handle, well, depression is a possibility. It's called the law of use, right?
Yeah.
What you don't use, you lose, or it depreciates, or it deprecates, right? Because if you don't use your mental muscle, those muscles are going to get weak until you lose them, meaning that anything can make you fall.
Wow, that's a lot to digest right now. You've been a life coach this long. You've been a pastor. You are a teacher, a husband, and a father. And you've had your experiences with depression, and you have learned from these experiences. So I'd like you to just so far from all of these experiences, what have you learned? What perspectives do you have based on stories that you've come across, based on your personal experience, based on what you see? How would you say you'd be able to attain happiness, and how do you think people can reach it?
Well, I say all the time, right? You know, happiness is easy, right? Happiness is a decision. It's a decision. You decide to be happy. If you don't make that decision to happy, nothing can make you happy. It's a decision, right? So it doesn't matter where you are. You have to decide to be happy, right? You decide that you defend your decision, right? Because if you're not happy, nothing can make you happy, right? Like I said, when I was in depression, I could bless other people, I could teach, I could lead people into the presence of God. Because I didn't decide to be happy, the people were happy, I wasn't. But it's a decision. You have to decide that you want to be happy. You decide that you defend your decision. So it's easy. Happiness has nothing to do with what you have, who you are, what you've attained. Right? People have been millionaires and not happy.
Sure.
People have been presidents and not happy. You know, it's a decision. Until you decide to be happy, you will not be happy. Nothing in this life will make you happy if you decide not to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate what you just said, because there is a misconception that happiness or depression or sadness is people who are in a certain class or a certain age group are prone to it, right? But I'm glad that you cleared that out. Now, I think this will be my final question. It is similar to the question I just asked you, but I believe that the brain is, although I say I'm not a science person, but the brain is a muscle that should be, exercised like every other muscle in the body. So, what tips would you have for people to ensure that they have optimal mental health, so they do not slip into depression or they're not prone to depression?
I mean, a simple way you keep your brain is to apply yourself to life. You know, you have to first of all decide to be happy. If you decide to be happy, you decide to do life. You have to do life, right? You're not waiting for someone to do life for you. You have to do life. When you do life, you always exercise your brain. So do life means that you decide how are you going to exit this life. When your final day comes, because the final day is going to come for all of us, how do you want to live this life? What legacy do you want to leave when you leave this life? How do you want the most important people in your life to see you when you leave this life? Right? Your parents, your siblings, your children, your wife. You have to decide that. When you decide that, you tell yourself, what do I need to start doing today so as to get to that exit? Right? You begin to do that today. So you get to that exit. What it takes you to do that today, and set milestones along the way to be sure if you're on track or not. That's going to involve a lot of mental work, and that's going to be your mental muscles. Life itself forces us. So when you have incidents of life, really, they're supposed to be a blessing, not a curse, because it's probably some area of your life you're not exercising, and it's trying to force you to exercise that part of your life. You see from that angle, then you're not supposed to get depressed. This means you need to wake up yourself to that seeming part of your life that you're taking for granted for whatever reason, allowing to life follow. And so the incident of life pretty much wakes it up, tells you, hey man, woman, you need to address this part of your life. Like I said earlier on, the law of use is that what you don't use, you lose.
Yeah.
Or it loses strength, or it loses value. Right? So the course of life is pretty much trying to get you to use all the faculties of your life. When you do life, you will.
Wow. it has been quite a very wholesome conversation so far, and I personally have enjoyed every bit of it. So you have a thriving marriage ministry. Can I call it that?
Yeah.
Okay. There's no question really. I just want you to share with viewers how we could connect with you, what platforms we could connect with you.
Well, I have a very big footprint on social media, no doubt about that. Biggest of that is the marriage community we have. We call it Marriage Minutes out on Facebook. We have 96,000 followership with people from every part of the globe. Every continent of the globe is represented in that. Obviously, as a pastor, I do have ministries, devotional thoughts I do have also on Facebook. My main page itself is there out there, so we'll get to every day share some inspirational that has changed people's life. I get testimonies every day. Marriage ministry we do share to strengthen marriages, counsel people. I do get to counsel people one-on-one. On the back end of that, I get people call me or chat. I've done that to people from all over the world. Then also just inspirational every day. I get to teach. I do have a prayer meeting I do Mondays to Fridays, right, during the lunchtime. So the videos there, I'm larger on YouTube, more than 1,000 videos out there on YouTube. I get to do a book club on Sundays, So 2 o'clock on Sundays I get to do a book club. We're going through a series right now, book by Bentley Frankel, titled Business is Personal. So I enjoy doing everything. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to talk to you, sir.
Same here.
It's been great to have you on the Finding Happiness podcast.
My pleasure.
All right, till next time, everyone.
All right. Thanks.